Okay, so this video is a bit of a follow-up from the one that Liz Zorab and I made on and published on Monday. Since that video had aired, we had another frost here in my garden, not here in the polytunnel, fortunately, but actually at the bottom of that slope again, and at the top as well. It was a really, really chilly night. Now, there was no mention of frost on the weather report on the television, and my weather app didn't mention any frosts. It was going to be a chilly night, sort of 4 or 5 degrees centigrade. But I have to remember, I always need to remember that in the countryside, things are different than if you live in town. You get this reflected back heat from buildings if you're in town and have a town garden, but out in the countryside, especially this garden, it's quite open, and the cold air and the mist can kind of roll down the hills a bit. Anyway, I'll show you what's going on in the garden.
So who would have thought a frost on the 14th of June? Now, some of you may have remembered I talked about having a bit of a frost pocket in my garden. I've got a slight slope. The top polytunnel is there, and I've got beds down the slope. It's not a very steep slope, it's quite gentle. But at the bottom here I've got potatoes, and I know I've shown you these potatoes, and I think I've mentioned a slight frost on these before. But last night, it was decidedly chilly. It was very clear, the sky was extremely clear, we had a full moon, and I was beginning to see my breath. Now I looked on my weather app, and there was no mention of frost, and I listened to the weather forecast on the telly as well, and they said it would be a chilly night, but there was no mention of frost at all. And usually they're very good about telling you if there is. But I know we all have our little microclimates, and there are such things as frost pockets where cold air, because it's heavy, rolls down and sits at the lowest point, and unless it can blow through, cold air will stay in a particular area, and I think it's got stuck here in my potato patch. This is just one of 5 potato beds, so I'm not too worried about it. The bulk of the plant is fine. Any mild frost damage won't kill the plant or hurt the potatoes. It might slow things down slightly, but it's not the end of the world. Now, I've got other things that were affected too.
Here we are on the 17th of June, and the frost happened on the sort of 13th or 14th of June, the evening of, and I showed you a picture of the slightly blackened leaves. Look how they've dried up. It looks like blight, but it's most definitely not. It is frost. If you look further down, the leaves are absolutely healthy. The stems are okay. It's very much burnt frost.
I've got 5 zucchini or courgette plants here. This one definitely has been affected by the frost. Now the inner bits have not, so it's possible it might grow through. In fact, there's a tiny little zucchini or courgette on there, but these outer leaves have had it. I mean, the frost has affected those. Same with this one. This one's slightly less damaged, which is a real shame because it's got some baby courgettes or zucchini on there. The lettuce is totally unaffected, And this one plant here doesn't look like it was affected at all. Here we are a couple of days later. It's now the 17th of June, and I'm looking at these frosted courgette zucchini plants, and there's actually signs of hope and signs of life here, so all is not lost. I have planted some more seeds in pots, just in case, because it's not too late where we are. As you know, you pick zucchinis at all stages, from tiny, finger-sized to much bigger. And you don't have to wait for them to grow big and mature and dry like winter squashes or pumpkins. So here we go. This one's frosted, but look at the middle. It's growing healthily and green, and we've got lots of blossoms. So there you go. There's always hope. So there you have it. And I guess the takeaway message for all of this is, and it's a lot about observation and learning to use and to accommodate the land and microclimate that you've got. Also, I would add, keep a diary so that you've always got notes of what happened when and how and where. You can look back and say, oh yeah, that happened at a similar time last year. And then I would say plant extra, just in case you need to replant. I've done that with courgettes, and I've planted some extra beans just in case. Okay, I may end up having too many beans, but you know, I can share those with friends. It's not a bad thing, really. Spread your risks, so don't plant all your tomatoes, potatoes, or your courgettes all in one spot, just in case they fail or don't like the particular area. If you spread them out and plant a few here and there, you may find they do better in some areas and worse in others. And then you kind of learn which bits of your garden actually certain plants prefer. So, you know, that's kind of a really good learning experience. Rethink what you plant. And this kind of follows on from what I just said about spreading your risk. I may plant hardier things like brassicas and garlic down in the frost pocket beds that scorch my potatoes. So brassicas can take the cold. They make their own antifreeze. Well, they produce more sugars which stop the freezing of the plant cells. So you know, they can take things like a cold night, a sudden cold frost. Before I go, I wanted to wish Shuin in Ireland a very happy birthday on the 20th of June. I hope you have a really great day, and I hope your new garden is growing really, really well. And thank you very much for watching So Grow and Cook. See you next time. Bye for now.